How's it going, everyone? So, Tigress with a new moon in Cancer and a full moon in Capricorn interpretation for us this time. Look at these two signs right here, right now. Not many people know that Capricorn has a fish tail. So we're going to be dealing with a lot of emotional things this time around. Y'all are probably feeling it. And it was some of the stuff that has been triggering you to wanting to explore new truths since last month. Now that you've went through that full moon in Sagittarius, getting to these truths within yourself, now with the new moon in Cancer depicting the South Node energy and the full moon in Capricorn depicting the North Node energy, is what we need to do is there may be places in our internal home that we need to clean up, that we need to remodel, that we need to reorganize when it comes to creating stability and support for our emotional beings that we have within. So let's talk about the new moon in Cancer. Cancer's planet is the moon. Its sign or its element is water. It is cardinal energy, so the start to things, the start to a new season, the start to summer. We're actually in Cancerian energy right now. It represents the fourth house, which is establishing foundations, home, family, nurturing parent, and private self. The saying for Cancer is I feel. Working on our emotional part to our inner home. Learning not to just read between the lines of others, but learning how to read between our lines. The things that we could be missing at times. What this is Cancerian is a very sensitive sign. So is Capricorn. But one thing I've noticed since I've started doing this channel for a year now and just observing the frequencies, each frequency kind of has their little signature thing of what they're about, what they do, what they represent. Remember, we have all the houses. All these signs represent us in some kind of aspect. So with Cancerian, what's highlighted about this sign is how nobody really knows truly how a Cancerian feels on the deep levels, at the core, at the heart. It's very hard to get inside that inner shell that holds all their mushy side to them. And they are not quick to share that side either. Now, if you think about it, with their cards that represent the Cancerian, here is the Chariot and the High Priestess. Chariot is all about the movement, fast movement too, and the High Priestess is all about being well read on stuff, doing that work to get to that very divine type of role in your life. So let's go ahead and continue with this Cancerian energy. To work through the Cancerian energy with this new moon, we must learn how to have discernment when it comes to our loyalty for ourselves versus others. This is taught in the mythology of Cancer when Hercules crushed Carcinus under Hera's orders. This crab went out to attack Hercules to create a distraction because Hercules was fighting the Hydra at that time, I believe, which led to the Cancerian's doom. Basically, Hercules just stomped the yard on him. But here's what we're learning from this sign. In our lives, sometimes our loyalties to others, person, places, and or things can lead to our own demise if we don't have a healthy emotional foundation built within ourselves. For some people, love is viewed as a giving type of situation. This could mean overly giving yourself to situations, to people, to places, to show how much loyalty you have to it. But what that does is that creates a dependent type of currency. And what that means to me, or how that translates to me, is it becomes a currency for this other, and how this other can use you, and how this other can get what they want from you. And it isn't that they view you as an individual in a sense that they can harmonize with. They view you as an object that can get them things. Ooh, so you have to be careful with your loyalty here. So when we go into Capricorn, we talk about both signs for a little bit. So both these signs represent negative feminine energy. They're cardinal energy as well, meaning they struggle with how they view themselves compared to others, and how this could lead to these energies within ourselves being taken advantage of. Both representing a side to the emotions that is either withheld from others, which is Capricorn's thing, or is Cancer's thing. So withholding from others is definitely Cancer, but for Capricorn, it's withholding from themselves too. Sometimes Capricorns will climb mountains to stay away from their emotional side. We do this with work, coping mechanisms, etc. Everybody is guilty of this at some point in their life, trying to run from that emotional side. Capricorns also represent wealth that is worked for. Reason why their sign also represents the cornucopia, with two main stories for this mythology, both having to do with another coming in and helping Zeus. Whether it was a few of the other gods helping to return some items to Zeus during the battle with the last Titan. With that story, I'm more highlighted at the part when Zeus was fighting Typhon. Zeus did not have control completely of the lightning bolts and also how to use them. So it was definitely something that he had to work with at this time, and he had to keep working on it. But if you know, later on in the mythology, he was really good with the lightning bolts. He was like, could throw them, he could throw them in his sleep, whatever. So this kind of goes along with the Capricorn energy, where what you work for, what you work towards, can come to fruition, can come to bountiful harvests. So with the other story here, where Zeus suckled from a goat as a baby and then broke off the horn of the goat to give to Amalthea as the cornucopia, as a thank you token for her making sure he didn't starve when he was young and he couldn't do anything for himself. Both these stories show how you have to start from somewhere when it comes to growth, or even getting better at things. Now, these things can be good for us, or they could be very, very bad for us. I would guess that this would involve our habits or tools that we use during our daily lives, whether hiding from stuff or hiding that stuff from us. And a lot of it comes down to the emotional stuff. So Cancer and Capricorn show us how hiding how we feel. That's a lot of ha. Let me start that again. Cancer and Capricorn show us how hiding how we feel from the world and hiding ourselves from how we feel can impact us in our daily lives through our habits and our routines. At this time, we could feel like life is testing us to the extremes because of how our emotional being is interpreting everything. Our emotional being is always speaking to us, whether we are conscious of the connection and are able to acknowledge it or not. But this gets translated into how we go about our day, how we build walls around the things, as well as how we hold on to things way past the due date. Both signs are highly sensitive. This sensitive side, is the one that is pushed down when it comes to social standards of fitting in. And a lot of the generations, I'm going to take a detour real quick. A lot of the generations that are a little bit older than the millennials, I'm talking about boomers and all that, you can understand this because growing up in those generations, talking about feelings wasn't a thing. You were looked at like you were crazy. You could have been looked at like you were weak if you were expressing how you feel. And those generations going to therapy, they looked at you like you was literally crazy because you need to talk about things. Keep in mind the times are different. Human behavior is changing, and it is okay to start talking about how we feel and how it's affecting us. And they're starting to see that this is something that is important when it comes to spiritual growth, when it comes to people being able to process traumas in their lives, process things that has them stuck, has their emotional being, has their spiritual being stuck in certain places. So what do is we got to listen to ourselves. We got to explore ourselves, explore why we're feeling, how we're feeling about things. Our spiritual journey is one where we find our individualism through connecting back to our soul being. This involves us listening to ourselves. If water is the nectar of life, then what does that make the emotions to us? But an essence of energy that is essential to us. This starts with our loyalty to ourselves and the divine energy that has been given as a seed within all humans. Learning how to water it, grow it, and cultivate this connection within ourselves into the divine energy. We all have to start at the beginning. And no one, I repeat, no one is ever too late for this journey. You're right on time no matter how old you are, how young you are. So learning something different or learning something new, again, it doesn't have an age limit. The time to work on our spiritual foundations is at hand. Do we accept the change that comes and build from there, or do we choose to resist and hold on to everything or run from it? The time to be honest with yourself is now. And this is why we're facing a lot of stuff that impacts us really, really hard in the emotions. If you look at it, a lot of us will hold ourselves back, hold back how we feel, because we fear how others, if it's going to hurt others, if it's going to disappoint others, if others will abandon us because of our truths. That's us hanging on to things a little too long, not letting it go and understanding that we can go to other areas and explore. It's really hard. It is a really hard lesson right now because we just came to some truths about things last month with the Sagittarius full moon, right? And then we had the Gemini new moon. So learning how to communicate with ourselves. We're in that realm again, but now it's not just in the mind that we're communicating with ourselves and not just the divine too. We're going within and we're getting in touch with that emotional being, that emotional side to us. An emotional side, like I said, that we tend to run from. An emotional side that we keep very hidden from others. But when we start to work through these things, when we start to master our emotions, the end of a tough cycle will be able to approach. And when we can end those tough cycles, that's where you get ascension. So one of the things that I will go on a detour about recently for myself is I had to mention I've mentioned that I was getting another job and stuff like that. So recently I've got a new job. I've quit the other job. So this is just to give an example. This can also happen in home life. This can happen with relationships. This can even happen with friendships. What I want you to listen to is how it's at this certain level, this certain frequency. So one of the reasons why I maintained this one job for so long, even though it was like a really, really toxic environment, and I even had told my manager at one time that, you know, I have so many years of experience of doing what I do, but working here makes me feel like all my experience is worth nothing. And that is really hard to be stuck in environments like that. Like, I literally was working through the energies just like you are when it comes to the new moon and full moon energies coming in. And I literally had to sit in my truth with things, sit in my truth with how past managers have viewed me, past employees, stuff like that. And then I had to sit in my truth of why I want to be at this location, why I've put up with so much from this location. And it was just because of things that were convenient there. The location was a convenient location from me to where I wasn't having to do so much travel. So what was I doing? I was compromising. A lot of compromising was happening. But then because I was seeing stuff too at times from the dark side, the shadow side of the ego, I was taking stuff out on myself. When I started to look at how much I was compromising on, how I wasn't happy here, and the fact is that I needed to figure out who I needed to be loyal to. Did I need to be loyal to this employer because it's convenient for me? Or do I need to be loyal to myself more? And when I was able excuse me, when I was able to be able to see that my loyalty to myself matters the most, I was able to let this job go. And when I did it, it was a mic drop of a situation, because if you ever worked in an at-will state, it sucks. It sucks. If you don't work in an at-will state, good for you. Good for you. Trust me, when I move again, that's what I'm keeping in mind. I'm not gonna work for another at-will state. They can go take that at-will shit and shove it, because it just gives employers a reason to treat you like shit, to basically make you feel disposable. And when you got a whole state that is built upon being disposable like that, you end up with a lot of unhappy people. A lot of unhappy people. A lot of competition. A lot of insecurities. So, I mean, what happened when I released this job is, like, a day later, I could feel the shift in the energy. I could literally feel the shift in my karma. I could literally feel that I was starting to vibrate higher and that I was getting ready for an ascension. So one of the things that made me really concrete my loyalty to myself when it came to this particular job was I had woken up. I started having restlessness. My root chakra was getting out of balance. And I remember just overthinking about this job and the drama and just the toxic nature of how competitive it is here with the insecurities and stuff that enhances everything. And literally when I went within myself, went within how I felt, and I admitted that I need to quit this job, I shit you not, my being took the biggest breath of release. The biggest breath of relief, I should say. And what happened after that is my energy settled down and I was able to fall asleep. And that really concreted what I needed to do, because I had that conversation with myself. I could feel things that weren't right. My internal home was getting chaotic again. And, you know, sometimes people think you're crazy because you talk to yourself. But there's literally studies out there that talking to yourself or even journaling helps you process things. So this may be something that you need to do, is to talk to someone, to journal, to be able to put it out there so you can start processing it, putting your cards out on the table basically, and seeing what's really happening and how you're feeling about it type of energy. Now this could be with people, this could be with places, this could be with things. But again, as soon as I left that energy there, my energy started vibrating higher. And what came next was unexpected, in the sense that I really didn't want it to happen. But actually, I had two people that were really close to me that within a week and a half maybe of quitting the toxic job, we lost connection. After that, that's when I could feel my ascension. These two people I lost connection with are stuck on a certain frequency. They're actually both earth signs, I'm not gonna lie. One's a Capricorn and one's a Taurus. I love them so much dearly. But the frequency that they're in, the excuses that they use to keep themselves there, could be even to the people that they surround themselves with, their environments, I cannot follow no more. And I've actually told a Libra this before, when they're going off into a frequency that I can't be in with them. I tell them, I can't be here with you, I can't talk to you right now, this is not where I'm at. This is not where I want to go back to. And as hard as it is to lose personal relationships that we've had for so long, it was something that needed to be done so that I could have my ascension up. Now, if you remember, I think it was last month I talked about in the energies, and it was really put out there, I think it was for Gemini, I want to say, is that not everybody finishes the race with you. You will have plenty of people who will have many different starts with you while you're on your life journey. But not many people will make it to the end with you. And this is where we end up holding on to things. And if we're not careful, we can hold on to it and we can end up dooming ourselves. Because if we choose to hold on to these others, this was really in the Virgo story last time. If we choose to hold on to others, then we are basically dooming our path, dooming our future, dooming getting to where we need to be. And a lot of times this happens with Scorpio energy as well, because they're like the angels. They're like a lot of earth angels who want to save people, who want to help them. So what ends up happening is you're too busy trying to save somebody, but you don't realize that because you're trying to save them, you're drowning as well. Now, excuse if there's any triggers, but this is kind of what's talked about with, I think, first responders or something when it comes to saving people who are drowning. This is a real life thing, is you have to be careful, because a lot of people who jump in to save another person end up drowning themselves because that one person's freaking out and stuff, and they end up trying to use the other person as a floating device. So, I mean, there's a lot of different other kind of examples we can use here. But this is why it's important with this Cancerian energy to know when to let go of things. And to realize that it's not the end to things. It doesn't make you any less loved. Especially when you love yourself and you're in the love, light, and compassion of the divine. That's all we need right there in all reality. Because as soon as you have that type of love for yourself and you're receiving that type of love from the divine, because that's a door you have to open, then do you start to build very solid foundations within your home, within that emotional being side to you as well, to where, you know, when you have these crazy situations that happen, it doesn't rock you as much, because again, you're able to go within. Now, the reason why I say not rock you as much as I love these people, as much as I wanted it to work out, even with that job, I was going against myself in a lot of different ways, whether trying to maintain these relationships or trying to survive at this workplace. So again, you have to figure out where your loyalties lie. And just know, and I just learned this the other day, and this was really sad for myself. But I will share this. No amount of self-sacrificing, no amount of your self-sacrificing can guarantee that this other's gonna be saved. It doesn't guarantee anything. It comes down to that person. It comes down to taking action, making those first moves that you gotta make. If you're trying to save somebody, what is the situation around it? You have to look at it and see what it is that has you tied to that situation. Are you trying to save this person because they remind you of somebody else? Are you trying to be at this place because you're trying to prove your loyalty? These are big questions to ask yourself. All right, so I'm being told to go, continue the green light for the Oracle deck. So this is very interesting. I'm being pulled to what's the tea? What's the tea? So this is a lesson where you're going to deal with a lot of different people. Again, a lot of different people, a lot of different situations. One of the things that I've noticed for today, because this is happening on earlier in the month of July, is that even when I go through my feed, especially on YouTube, it's a lot of stuff that is targeting our emotions. So you have to remember that, in a sense, this is a matrix that's set to test us. It's set to also distract us. So as you navigate this month, again, getting in touch with that emotional being, even steering away from things that, you know, don't nurture your emotional being. Things that just cause drama in your life and make you upset are not things that you have to expose yourself to. You don't have to, just because it's the thing that's in. I'll say that. So, I mean, that's where that discernment comes in. Knowing when you are dealing with something that's just trying to trigger you. That's a big one. So let's go ahead and see what needs to come out for a little bit of bonus messages. Ooh-wee. So this falls under some earthy earth energy. Remember how we talked about this has to do with a lot of emotions. Even like this could be tied to love and how we sacrifice ourselves. Be careful when you're sacrificing yourselves for others. When you're doing sacrifices to try and keep up with others, trying to compare yourself to others, trying to be in the middle of others. Because I mean, this doesn't have to be just a love triangle. This could be just in a family environment where you're having a lot of drama, in a work environment where you're having a lot of drama. What does this drama keep putting you in between? Is it putting you between your goals and your ambitions? Is it something, you know, that always seems to be accusing you of something? Because I'm not going to lie, with that passive aggressiveness at my other job, they was trying to accuse some funny stuff. They sure was. It's kind of silly. It's kind of silly. I'm not gonna lie. There's gonna be a lot of surprises that come out. Just know that there's going to be a lot of surprises that come out. Multiple things. You know, you're going to feel like, what I'm hearing, you're going to have egg on your face. Somebody could be trying to humiliate you. You know, again, this is trying to rock your emotions. A lot of times when people want you to fit in, because remember, we're fighting for our individualism, connecting with that being within, and, you know, watering that divine seed we have. And a lot of people fight that individualism. They will go against their spiritual self to fit in with others. Just know, if they're trying to humiliate you and stuff like that, it's because they want you to basically conform to them. And right here, we're being told this isn't shit. They're not shit. They're nothing but some turd buckets here. I've never used that term, turd buckets, so that's very interesting that got brought out. But I mean, if you look to the left, you look to the right, you look down, I don't think whoever this is really doing much for you when it comes to people, places, and or things. But you have to stop hiding. You have to stop hiding from how you feel about this. How this is making you feel when they're making these moves. Then we have what lands on the ain't shit and the love triangle here. Marrying for money. So for me, it speaks about the insecurities. If you think about Capricorn talks about security. It also talks about resisting change because it has the planet Saturn representing it. Saturn also used to represent Aquarius as well. So you can sprinkle that little individualism on there, that authentic self kind of thing. But right here, we have a lot of insecurities that have festered in whatever area that this is in, that this is happening. And again, these insecurities that these others are having doesn't have to do with you. This has to do with their superficialness to themselves. And what's going to create you being more of an individual than what they're doing is because you're going to start to get in touch with yourself. You're going to start talking to yourself. You're going to start feeling yourself instead of always just being dazed off and thinking about what you're scrolling through, what you need to buy in order to make you feel good. Because this is just superficial kind of adoration for self. This isn't deep stuff. This is why consumerism can be a nasty habit. It could be a bad addiction because somebody's using something, remember, tools to get through the day to try and cope. And this is saying that this isn't the way to go anymore. You need to get out of just the material stuff. That material stuff isn't nothing. It's not where the divine wants you to build your wealth. The divine wants you to build your wealth within here. Oh, I like that. Ooh, shout out to the divine, shout out to the angels, shout out to the ancestors, shout out to the guides right now. Woo, woo, they're coming in with some good stuff. Thank you for your presence. Wow, I like this. Oh my goodness, this is almost bringing a tear to my eye. You know what? I really feel like you are not going to be done with these individuals very easily. Sometimes when we walk away from individuals, they don't break off from us or our energy very quickly because they're always in the background. They're always in the background because we're still holding on to things. To fully let this go, you have to see that this is done. This is the expiration date. Much like I seen with this other job, I reached the expiration date. I done went past it. And I needed to free myself. And one of the reasons why I freed myself from this place was to create more opportunities at this new employer that I have that is more ideal. Why stay dragging myself down with an employer that doesn't make me feel the utmost about myself and how I show up with my skills? That diminishes my individualism. Why? Why would I want to do that when I have an employer that values my individualism, that values the skills that I bring to the table? We don't know that until we are able to fully let go of the superficial things. And this is something that's here. Even you going back and looking at it, checking on it, whatever, that's still you holding on to it. So make sure you're not creeping up onto the stuff, holding on to it as well. And we talked about this. We really talked about this. So with this creeping kind of stuff that's happening here, this could also be feeding your anxieties. This could be feeding your depression. This could be feeding your moodiness. This could be feeding you wanting to reach to coping mechanisms. You have to be careful. Remember, we were talking about in this frequency this time around, or in the moon energies, this time around, it's dealing with our habits, our routines, the tools that we use. The reason why this comes up again is because we do have the Saturn planet here, but we also have Capricorn. One of the cards that represent Capricorn is the Devil card, and that is attachments. So when you're able, and what I'm hearing is to purge yourself of a negative environment, of a low frequency environment, you're gonna feel a change that happens within. That's if you allow yourself to fully purge this environment. And not purge it, what I'm seeing is to the sense where you forget about the lessons you learned. No, you're purging the negative feelings that it aroused in you about yourself. That's what this is. And in being able to stand more soberly in yourself and how you feel about yourself. Not needing, say, some kind of mechanism, to cope with being there. Some kind of mechanism even to show up for the day. Again, when you find a better place, wherever that is, whether it's with another person, whether it's in another situation, whether it's with another thing, another place, etc., etc., apply it how it resonates, you're gonna see that there are weights lifted off. That these mechanisms, these tools that you used to prep yourself up with to be there are no longer needed, because you're not having to wear a mask anymore just to be there. That's what I'm being shown. I like that. I like that a lot. Like I said, it kind of goes back into what I was describing when I was having my restlessness. And when I finally kind of explored my feelings and I realized I needed to quit. And when I did that, my being felt it, took a deep breath and was like, okay, we can go back to bed. This person knows. They get it. They got the plan. They know what they need to do. We can rest now. Like I said, your emotional being is always trying to communicate with you, whether you know it or not. So that's all these people are. They're drama starters. And we need to throw the threats out the door, because they're not going to be able to cash in on those threats on you anymore. That's what it is. You know what? A lot of people, like I said, will capitalize on your loyalty. They will do passive aggressive things. They will start drama. They will do whatever it takes to get whatever they need out of you. And now it's time. It's time. It's time to bankrupt this deal. They've overdone it. You've overpaid out. They're obviously not going to pay you back with the same kind of currency of love and loyalty. It's time to bankrupt this situation. It's past due. It's not worth it. Whatever it was, it's more crushing than anything. It has everything so piled up. It has you so worn down. Again, look at reaching to other tools to try and cope with it, to try and deal with it. That's what this is about, is being able to break yourself free of whatever kind of coping stuff that you have been using just to kind of get by, to put up with whatever's going on here. All right, let's see. I think with this card and what I'm going to tell you right now is tough love. You think showing back up, you think even you walking around whoever this is or just being in the same place is going to get you a different result, to where they're going to want to basically be kissing your butt and realize who you are, what you do, and your value. It's not going to happen. They're not going to come in trying to kiss your butt. That's just it. Whatever this is, person, places, or things, it's just drama. But this is the drama that you need right now. This is the drama to get you in touch with your emotional being. This is the drama that's going to help you build foundations, stronger foundations for yourself when it comes to forecasting, if you're going to be stuck between some stuff, and being able to realize that this isn't shit. This is very superficial. This is superficial. And it takes a lot to deal with it. It takes a lot out on yourself to deal with it. And no matter how much you try, these people are always going to be on the other side, doing things, starting things, passive-aggressive type of things. This isn't going to change unless you change it. And again, this is how getting in touch with yourself, being truthful with how you feel about things. And you can try and express your truth. Honestly, you probably have already expressed your truth. I know with me, when it came down to this last job, I was expressing my truth the whole way in. And one of the things that I was reflecting upon that morning at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning was how much I had been expressing my truth since about a few weeks into working there. So that tells me my emotional being was saying things. I was even saying it, but I wasn't truly acknowledging it. And right here, you could have an ascension ready for you. All of us. This doesn't just have to be a Capricorn. This just doesn't have to be a Cancer. This just doesn't have to be an Aquarius, Sagittarius. This doesn't have to be just an Aries, a Libra, a Pisces, a Gemini, a Taurus, a Leo, a Virgo, a Scorpio, a Capricorn. If I didn't say Capricorn already, I think I said them all. If I forgot one, I am sorry. Being human, sorry. But there is an ascension at hand. And this ascension requires you to build a strong foundation within your emotions. This ascension requires you not to hide how you feel from others, but also not to hide how you feel from yourself. But when you get to that truth with yourself, you're going to start to level up. And that comes at letting go of things that truly ain't shit. These ones who are just here for drama, they're not here to help support you. And that could be just even in a mental sense, you know, being a shoulder to cry on, you know, somebody that you could talk to, be able to vent to type of things. Because we do have people that will do this. One of the people I recently let go was notorious for this. They could be there for me in a sense, but it was a very small sense. And it really would suck in phone conversations because I would be trying to vent something that I really cared about. I could even be in tears about, and I'm waiting for a response and they're not even listening. They're stuck on what they're doing, or they didn't listen and they changed the subject real quick. You know, that is a person that is not listening to you. That is a person that's not there for you. You are there at that time because that person wants you there for them. And now that's not a two-way relationship. That is not. And I don't care if it's a family member, if it's a friend, if it's a parent, if it's a cousin, if it's a sibling, if it's a coworker, if it's a best friend that you've known for years. That is not somebody being there for you. And as much as it can hurt because we know people for so long, we are allowed to outgrow people. We are allowed to say goodbye to environments that we no longer can fit in. Because I know for sure I cannot fit into this work environment, and I couldn't fit into each of these other individuals' environments. And where I couldn't end the relationships myself, the divine presented me with tests, trials, and lessons for those relationships to end on their own. So just know I could go back and I could dim my light down to have these people in my life. I could compromise. I could still be overly doing things to try and prove my loyalty to just them. But in the end, what does that get me? What does that do with my connection to my soul being and to the higher power? But just fray it, untune it, unalign it. That's why I say a lot of the journey here for this experience is us being able to align with our soul being, which is the very seed of the divine. It's gonna be a month of lessons. It's gonna be a month of extensions. But that's if you want it to be. It's totally up to you. Just again, know that everyone's safe. You're allowed to speak your truth. You're allowed to get in touch with yourself. You're allowed to listen to yourself. All right. And, you know, dropping places, things, individuals that can't respect it, low frequency environments will help you end tough cycles. When you start believing in yourself, when you start listening to yourself, when you start to align in the love, light, and compassion of the divine, that will help end tough cycles. Alrighty. This was awesome. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, and your patience with this new moon, full moon interpretation. Don't forget to thank your angels, ancestors, spirit guides, as well as divine and universal energy for coming on in and helping out. And I hope you have a most wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.